All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Village Board meeting to order on Monday, October 4, 2021. We are meeting in person again this evening and very thankful for that, although we do have to wear a mask, and so we apologize for any problems with enunciation, and so we'll try to speak up and make sure that we can all hear each other. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and so if you'd all please rise and join us in reciting the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Here.
Trustee Canty.
Here.
Trustee Bertucci.
Here.
Trustee Tinaglia. Trustee Grasse.
Here.
Trustee LaBedz.
Here.
Trustee Scaletta.
Here.
Trustee Baldino. President Hayes.
Here. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, and the first set is from the Committee of the Whole meeting from September 13, 2021. Are there any changes or passes?
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Trustee LaBedz, second by Trustee Canty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes from September 2021. Any changes or passes?
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Trustee Canty, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next are the Village Board meeting minutes from September 2021. Any changes or passes?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee Schwingbeck. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And finally, the Village Board meeting minutes from September 27, 2021. Any changes or passes?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Trustee Bertucci, seconded by Trustee Canty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We have no accounts payable to approve tonight, so we'll move on to citizens to be heard. And we do have two blue cards this evening, and the first is by Keith Moons. Keith?
Thank you, President Hayes, Board of Trustees. See, I understand the excitement and the economic potential of the Bears maybe moving to Arlington Park. There's no question about that. However, I think it was a little bit premature to go on PBS Chicago tonight and to say that we might be using. It is certainly a possibility that we may use municipal funds for this event. I think that comment could tacitly commit local funds to the Bears before the community or the Board of Trustees really have a chance to discuss that. No other government body has indicated that funds for the Bears move. It's certainly a possibility. Even if this may be true here, President Hayes, please don't show your hand so soon in this case. This is kind of like playing poker. It's like being kind of a poker player here. In my opinion, we should give the Bears exactly $0 to move or relocate in Arlington Park. As was said on PBS, we always consider tax incentives to attract or retain our businesses, but since we're not competing with another town to attract the Bears, as they've already signed a purchase agreement with Churchill Downs, and they're not here already, we are neither trying to attract or trying to retain them as a business. So please, no tax incentives from Arlington Heights to the Bears. If they tell us that they need a subsidy from us, or else the deal will fall through, in my opinion, this is just pure bullying and looking for some gravy in the deal. Because if it's up to our little subsidy to make or break the deal, I don't think they can make it here in the first place. So I think that's just a marginal amount that they could get. The Bears have plenty of ways to pay for their own new stadium without the help from our little piggy bank here. So in other words, I think we can get the benefit of the Bears moving here without the cost. And I think that's a great poker hand to have at this point, and not to show our hands. So please, no Arlington Heights taxpayer dollars to the Bears. Thank you. The other thing I wanted to just quickly mention was, at the recent meeting on Crescent Place, the submitted emails to be read were 52% of all public comment, President Hayes. That was 57 of 109 total comments. That has to be a record. And there was a remote option available, and folks opted for the email way to communicate. And I think this is what we're seeing now in this kind of a post-COVID world for public participation. Actually, that email comment flipped the public perception of that project from 4-1 against to basically being tied. 52 comments against and 57 in favor. So I think allowing email public comment is an inexpensive and readily available way to gauge public opinion during this new era of post-COVID public participation. Except for taking the toll on Ms. Hume's vocal cords, I think that was a kind of an outlier situation with that many being sent in, but I would ask that you please allow remote email comment to be read for public input at village meetings.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Moon. And next is Tom Locke.
Mayor, can I just
Trustee
take 1
Scaletta.
second? You know what, I will say that with the emails that were being sent in and that were read, I mean, that was very much of an organized, many groups out there that were organized trying to get their members of their church or members of their organization or other people that were like-minded to then email the village board. So, you know, I really appreciated the fact of hearing people that were on Zoom tell us exactly how they felt because they participated in the meeting versus just sending out an email because somebody else told them, if you like this idea, you should send it to. So, thank you,
All
Mayor.
right, thank you, Trustee Scaletta. Mr. Locke, where'd you go? There you go. And so you're just reminded of the 3-minute time limit?
It's got one, Chief.
Okay, great.
My name is Tom Locke. I'm a resident of Arlington Heights since 1962, and I live in the 700 block of North Salem Avenue. My comment tonight deals with the pending purchase of the Arlington Park property by the Chicago Bears. When I first heard the news about the pending Bears move to Arlington Heights, as a fan, I was excited. As an Arlington Heights homeowner, I have mixed emotions. While I am excited about the potential positive outcomes of a Bear move to Arlington Heights, I'm also concerned about the negative impact that a massive NFL stadium complex would bring as well. Living only 1 mile away from Arlington Park, regular daily Arlington Park traffic has never been too much of a problem. However, the Arlington Million, in its prime, and the Independence Day fireworks, before they became a more restrictive event, was a brief, significant impact, but was workable with specific traffic control measures. I do not see the current traffic infrastructure as being able to process crowds that could be 5 to 6 times larger or more than the 2019 Arlington Million, which drew about 13,000 people. Besides the traffic concerns on game day, other potential activities speculated that the new facility would be significantly different from what is currently at Arlington Park now. Just reading the Herald and listening to local media, speculation have envisioned the Super Bowl, that was yesterday's paper, the NCAA Final Four, concerts, a new entertainment district, gaming operations, and all kinds of things that exceed the current facility's impact by a great deal. And as postulated in yesterday's Herald editorial, will transform the suburbs. The Village of Arlington Heights has historically claimed to be the city of good neighbors, and I have found that to be almost always true. We are now about to have a very large new neighbor move in, arguably one with the largest impact in the history of our village. That new neighbor also has a lot of wealthy and influential business partners looking to tap into the quality of life equity in our community for their profit. I am here tonight to encourage the Arlington Heights Village Board to make sure the Bears become another good neighbor in our community and fight the temptation to get too caught up in the current hype so that we end up selling off too much of our reputational and quality of life equity, as well as the equity of the property value of those directly affected by their close proximity to the Arlington Park property. I still say go Bears, but way more importantly, I say go Arlington Heights. Let this be a mutual opportunity, not a predatory experience.
Thank you, Mr. Locke.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the audience who wish to address the board on an item not on the agenda?
I'd just like to say that, don't take this as an insult that I have to leave. Mr. Schwingbeck knows I have a scout meeting to go to.
All right, Mr. Locke, if you do have just a minute, and
Sure.
there's another individual, but I just wanted to address your comments and the other comments, and all audience members who might be watching regarding this potential developer or redeveloper. Obviously, this is not a done deal. There's a long, long, long way to go in this process, and so I just want to assure our residents and everybody watching or who might be reporting about our meeting this evening that the public is going to be very involved in this process. There'll be many opportunities over the next year, year and a half, perhaps 2 years, for our residents and other interested parties to weigh in. No decisions have been made. We don't have any details of the Bears' plan at this point, and so we're waiting with bated breath as well to find out exactly what they're envisioning for this property, which they've only signed a purchase and sale agreement on. So they haven't closed on it yet. There's a long way to go. We know there's a lot of interested parties and stakeholders and community members and residents, and we're going to listen to them in terms of what we do before we commit to do anything. And I have not committed any funds. I certainly did mention that, we provide tax incentives to businesses. That's one of the resources that we use. But I also said at that, on that interview that it's a last resort. And so we're not going to give away the store. We're going to make sure that we take care of our residents and maintain the great reputation of our village. And so, again, the residents will have many, many opportunities to weigh in before we commit to do anything. So, thank you, Mr. Locke. Now, Melissa Kayer.
Hello. To sum up the Crescent Place housing scenario, Crescent Place promises not to charge their residents too much money. If their residents promise not to make too much money, Crescent Place will ensure their profits with government grants and avoid taxes with their nonprofit status.
All right, thank you, Melissa. Are there any other members of the audience who wish to address the board on an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, then we'll close out the citizens to be heard portion of the agenda and move on to old business. And we do have 3 motions to report out from our committee of the whole meeting from earlier this evening. And I would first call on the trustee Canty. Schwingbeck.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move now, as I did earlier this evening, in concurring in the mayor's appointment of Philip Flores Jr. for appointment to the Environmental Commission with a term ending April 30th, 2024.
Second.
Motion by trustee Schwingbeck, seconded by trustee Canty. Any questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Flores, if you come forward to the podium, if you would. And we're going to make it official. And so if you just raise your right hand and repeat after me, I, and state your full name,
I, Philip Flores Jr.,
having been appointed to the Environmental Commission
having been appointed to the Environmental Commission
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, we know you will. Would you come forward if you would? I'll have you take this over to the village clerk and sign your oath of office. But I also want to present you with the village logo pin to wear proudly, which at least for now contains the Arlington Park horse head on it. So congratulations, Philip. Thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
And the next motion was by trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move now, as I did earlier this evening, to concur in the mayor's appointment of Luann Eisenhart for appointment to the Environmental Commission with the term ending April 30th, 2024.
Second.
Motion by trustee Scaletta, seconded by trustee Grasse. Any questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Luann, if you come forward, please. And you know the drill. If you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your full name,
I, Luann Blair Eisenhart,
having been appointed to the Environmental Commission,
having been appointed to the Environmental Commission
the Village of Arlington Heights,
for the Village of Arlington Heights
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, Luann. We know you well as well. I'm going to have you sign your oath as well and present you with a village logo pen to wear proudly. Congratulations. Luann.
Thank you.
And finally, Trustee Bertucci.
I move now, as I did earlier this evening, to concur in the mayor's appointment of David Jaschke for appointment to the Environmental Commission with a term ending April 30th, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Bertucci, second by Trustee LaBedz. Any questions or comments from the board or from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Dave, if you come forward. And if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your full name,
I, David G. Jaschke,
having been appointed to the Environmental Commission
having been appointed to the Environmental Commission,
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the County of Cook,
County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, Dave. We know you well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, there is no other old business, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the board who wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Any members of the audience wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, any members of the board wish to vote no or pass on any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Trustee LaBedz, seconded by Trustee Schwingbeck. Roll call.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci,
Yes.
Trustee Grasse,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Before we move on to new business, I'm just going to tell Phil and Dave, you guys are welcome to go. No need to stay, but you're certainly welcome to stay as well. Next, then, we move on to new business, and we do have one new business item to consider tonight, and that is the New Hope Academy proposal located at 3250 North Arlington Heights Road. The requested action is an amendment to the Land Use Variation Ordinance 17-016 to allow an expansion of the existing private school, and no variations are required with this request. So is the petitioner present? Would you come forward, please? And just introduce yourself and please tell us what you're looking to do here.
My name is Brandy Lawrence, and I am looking to move our current location in Glenview to Arlington Heights.
Right, could you tell us just a little bit about your proposal? We obviously have your materials and have, I know the board has read, as I have, the staff recommendation and the plan commission minutes, but if you just tell us a little bit more about what you're, for the audience particularly.
Sure.
People watching at home.
Yeah. Will you go through the PowerPoint as I talk?
Yeah,
or-
please.
Okay.
So Charles, you ready to do that?
There's a controller on the dais. Just press the button on the right. It should advance the slides. I can advance them for you.
Okay, so we are a therapeutic day school. We serve students ages 11 through 21. We have students that have primary emotional disabilities, OHI, which stands for other health impairment, specific learning disabilities, and autism. We have highly qualified staff that work with our students, and we provide a very safe and supportive environment to many districts in Illinois. We have a current site of 18,000 square feet at 3250 North Arlington Heights Road, 35 staff, and capacity of 95 students. So we're looking to move our Glenview location, like I said, to Arlington Heights in Wing 100. To combine our resources, we're looking to have a total of 2,700 square feet, total of 50 staff, and max capacity of 135 students. So we had the parking and traffic study done, and we agree to follow all the traffic and parking recommendations. Also to take into consideration and follow all the recommendations that were made by the Village of Arlington Heights regarding traffic and parking. We talked a lot about our drop-off and pickup and what that would look like, and students for both campuses would continue to be picked up and dropped off at the existing entrance where they currently are coming. And just as a side note, I know having a high school with potential drivers sometimes would cause a lot of parking issues, but our students cannot drive to school, so they are transported by their districts to us. One of the questions was, have you had any complaints? And I'm proud to say no. We are committed to being good community members, to being cooperative with the Arlington Heights Fire and Police Departments. We have a very nice working relationship with them, and to make a positive impact on this great community. We do a lot of volunteer work well with the other businesses in the area as well.
Okay, anything further?
I'll answer any questions anyone has.
All right,
but
let me go first to the staff report, and then we'll see if there's any questions for you. Thank you. Mr. Perkins?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everybody. New Hope is seeking an amendment to their land use variation for a private school in an M1 manufacturing district. They've been there since they were approved in 2017. We have no record of any complaints or issues from the neighbors or any of the existing tenants in the building. The site is located on the curve on North Arlington Heights Road. This illustrates the space that they would be leasing. The yellow is the existing space that they lease, and the red area is the area that they would be expanding into. The main issue is to look at traffic. The level of service at each intersection into the site is A, B, or C, so it performs very well. The main area of concern was the exiting on the south drive, which does get backups and is currently running at a level of service D. So there's about a 33 to 35 second delay exiting the site in the morning and in the afternoon peak times. So the afternoon peak time is different than the typical peak time because their pickups are around 2 o'clock to 2:30. So it doesn't coincide with the normal peak hour traffic in the evening of 4:30 to 5:30. With the additional students coming to the site, that exit from the site is estimated to increase by about 6 to 8 second delay and change from a level of service D to a level of service E. And if you look at the top chart, the estimated new trips for students coming to the site would be about 29. They don't all arrive at exactly the same time, so they're not all immediately backing up into the queue. It is well organized on the site, this aerial. You can actually see the vehicles running around the building from the line that says drop off, where the queue begins, to where it says the queue, at the bottom it says drop off, pick up, queue begin. That's actually where they exit the vehicle when they're arriving in the morning and where they enter the vehicle when they're leaving. So with the additional 29 trips, you could potentially see up to 15 additional vehicles at a peak time that would be ringing the site. It's been well organized. There's a condition the petitioner has agreed to that they will make adjustments to that pickup and drop off if there are issues. Again, it is held on site. It's typical of most schools. It clears out within about 10 to 15 minutes. So it's the nice thing about this is it's contained on the site and not on the public roadway. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Mr. Perkins, and just for the board's knowledge, I do live across the street, across Arlington Heights Road, basically from this facility, and I've never noticed, I drive by there almost every day, if not twice a day, and I've never noticed any backup or traffic problems. I know you're going to be expanding the facility, so there will be more, but you wouldn't even know that people are picking up or dropping off there when you're driving down Arlington Heights Road, and so I certainly don't anticipate any negative impact as a result of this expansion, and we certainly welcome this expansion and your commitment to Arlington Heights and staying at this location, and certainly wish you the best of success as you expand your business. So further questions from the board? Trustee LaBedz.
Thank you, Mayor Hayes, and thank you very much for your expansion of the business here. And I would echo what Mayor Hayes said. I drive past there very frequently, and the only reason I know you're there is because I sit on this board and I voted on it. So it's like a nothing kind of thing to worry about. But I do just have a quick question about the transportation of the students. And I'm just curious if the students come in as single, or are there multiple students ever, or do some districts pick up, have a small bus or something? I'm just curious how that
Sure.
goes.
So if we have multiple students that come to us from the same district, they will ride share most of the time, right? Sometimes schools will combine, different districts will combine students in a one vehicle. But the amount of students in the vehicle depends on how many students the district is sending our way, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much. That's the only question I had.
Other Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you. I have a question for you, but first, Charles. Charles, is there an easement agreement for access to university through the adjacent property?
Yes, if you look at this aerial here, Trustee Scaletta, this driveway runs north-south and does connect to university. The Hillside Towing has their facility here, and they do have rights to park some of their vehicles on the west side of that easement, but there is an access easement through there, correct?
Okay. So aside from working with them, there's also other alternatives of, maybe changing the flow of drop-off. If you ever saw it became a significant problem, you could have people exiting off onto university if needed, right?
That is correct, yes.
Probably not optimal, but at least there's an option there. Sometimes we were just provided with a project that didn't have those kind of options, and so I just noticed that by looking at the aerial and wanted to address that. Question for you.
Yes.
Who is doing the build-out of the space?
Collins Construction?
Okay, and so are they working for you, or are they working for the landlord?
The landlord.
Okay. I'm so appreciative that you guys came along and into Arlington Heights and are providing a service that is needed for so many families, not only in our area, but in surrounding areas. And there's so much great stuff in everything you provided me, and there was just this one thing that in there, and I'm like, how could somebody have written this? So let me ask you this.
I don't know if I want you to ask me.
No green features or sustainable design elements will be incorporated into the building modifications. Nothing?
Can you give me an example of what potentially?
LED lighting.
They've done all of that in the parking lots? Or are you
No, I'm
talking
saying
about in our building?
inside what you're building out, like when you walk in to the room, like when you walk into that room that we were just in earlier, the lights go on, and when there's nobody in there, the lights go off.
Mm-hmm.
There's just,
We have those features
Okay.
already in our current building, in our current location.
Right.
So when we were asked that question, it was anything additional from what you currently have is how we replied to that. So
Okay.
we do have
that's why I was like, it
motion
just seems-
sensors, LED
okay.
lights, we did take that into consideration.
Okay.
Yes.
So there will be features and elements that are consistent with what you currently have.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, because I'm like,
What?
low flow toilets. I mean, there's so many different things that you could do. I just was just amazed that statement was in there, and I'm like, it just can't be right.
And if at any point, if you would like more information on what we have already and what we're going to continue to do in the new space, I'd be more than happy to provide that.
You can
for
provide
the
it to
board.
Charles, and I'm sure, and he can just share that with the village board. But I'm so appreciative that there are elements that you already have, and that you're going to continue with those, because I think that not only is it important for your overall project, but you're teaching a lot of young people that need to know about those elements as well.
Absolutely, I agree.
I would move to concur with the Plan Commission recommendation.
Second.
Motion to concur with the Plan Commission recommendation by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee Canty. Further questions or comments from the board? Trustee Bertucci.
Thank you again, and I totally am in favor of what we have here. I actually have a question for our staff that might be of help to you. So, in piggybacking with Trustee Scaletta's comments, I just zoomed in on the hillside towing location. And so, Randy, are you saying that easement or Charles or whoever from the property of the office building there that she's going to be leasing from to University Drive needs to be held open by hillside towing? So if you go to that you go back to the beginning aerial. Thank you, Charles. That's it. So I don't know if you can zero in, but I mean, first of all, you see all the cars. I don't know if those are, but they're waiting for pickup from insurance companies or whatever from Rex. But that road needs to be kept clear by them.
Trustee Bertucci, I'll have to double check who owns the property and what the easement restrictions are, but my understanding is it is an access easement that has to be maintained drivable to connect the office building to the north to University Drive to the south. There are some parking spaces on the west side of that Hillside Towing have rights to have vehicles parked on the parking spaces, but the driveway should be maintainable and drivable.
Okay. Do you see and I'm sorry, I forgot your first name or last name.
First name is Brandy.
Brandy, do you see your clients' families using that roadway?
I mean, on occasion, depending on where they come from, we do have staff that come in early and use that way to enter and exit. We've never had a issue where it's been blocked or we couldn't get to where we needed to go.
Okay. So I would just like to see Hillside not kind of like take it over and be parking obstacles or have obstacles in the way for them if in fact they're supposed to keep it clear. So.
I have driven down that driveway on several occasions. I'm not saying they don't have vehicles that block it at some point in time, but it has been drivable each time I've gone up in that area. But we can certainly double check that, Trustee Bertucci.
Okay, I appreciate it, Charles. I just the aerial view is very telling. So, thank you.
Right, any other questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. We wish you continued success.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
There is no other new business, so we'll move on to the report of the village manager. Mr. Eckloff?
Nothing further this evening.
Okay. Under petitions and communications, I just want to thank everyone involved in Harmony Fest this past weekend. We were blessed to have mostly good weather, and even on Saturday, I think the heavens cleared, and we were able to get in Saturday night, pretty much with just a light mist towards the end of the night. And so I know everyone had a great time, as it was intended, to be a real celebration of the end of the outdoor season and the end of al fresco, and just bring everybody back together. I can't say at the end of the pandemic, but certainly near the end. And so it was a great way to bring family and friends and neighbors and everybody back together as a group, and maybe the first time anybody's been in a big crowd before. So Really appreciate everybody's hard work, especially the Special Events Commission, the Chamber of Commerce, all of the sponsors, and especially Diana McCula and her team, and I especially want to recognize Avis Mead, our new communications director, who was kind of given this as her first task and did exemplary job in accomplishing this very important event for our community. And so thanks to all the Public Works Department as well for all the great work and picking up trash, and there was plenty of it. But that's a good thing because that meant people were buying food. So we just can't thank everybody enough for their participation in the event, and it's a great way to celebrate the end of the outdoor season. So with that, any other comments from the board? All right, if not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
By Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for joining us tonight.